Hi, this is Mike, and welcome to Blue Learning. Today, what we're going to cover is a written information security plan, which is basically a cybersecurity plan for tax preparers. So, let me just back up a little bit and explain what we have here. So, the IRS uh, requires a written information security plan, and it must be written like a binder, printed in a binder, written information security plan for anybody that handles tax preparer information. Uh, so when you renew your PTIN, your authorization to do taxes at the end of the year. There's a little checkbox that says, "Hey, I have a written information plan, security plan in place," and then you submit your fee for the year. Well, almost everybody checks that box, but nobody really has one, at least the people that I'm encountering. So anyway, I've been in cybersecurity for many, many years and have done a lot of technical support with offices and small businesses. So I have been doing these WISPs lately, and I have a nice method of doing those. And let's go ahead and review what a WISP is and a little bit about how we do our WISP or what you get when we do your WISP. Okay, so let's go ahead and just proceed here. So securing your tax practice, unlocking the power of your WISP. So we're just going to cover what it is, why you have to have one, just really high level stuff today. Nothing too detailed or too in the weeds, just kind of an introduction to what a WISP is. Okay, so this is secure tax practices. Now, if you think of it, these aren't really the only businesses that should have a WISP. In fact, I think the IRS is going to expand this to other businesses, insurance, and those kind of things. So what we're going to look at, introduction to cybersecurity. So basically, they want you to just have a basic plan in place and a basic cyber hygiene plan in place to prevent issues and what to do with if there are issues. So let's cover some of this. So introduction, understanding the importance of safeguarding your tax practice against cyber threats. That's really what they want to do, is make people aware that you're handling very sensitive information. Tax information, driver's licenses, social security, driver's licenses, W-2s, all those tax forms that you guys have access to. They want to make sure that if you have access to them, that only you have access to them, and that certain controls are in place. Second thing here on this list is tax protection for tax professionals. So yeah, ensuring the confidentiality and the integrity of your client's sensitive information. So we're really not doing this to just check a box with the IRS. Oh, we have one, and here it is. Let's take advantage and get some education and learn a little bit more, or just pay a little bit more attention to how we are handling taxpayers' information on a day-to-day basis. And that also goes for employees. How are they handling it? Does everybody in the office know the policy? And then the third thing is vendors. Many breaches occur because of not only the employees, it's the vendors. Okay, a vendor has access to your private information, your taxpayer information. They can get compromised, therefore compromising your organization. In fact, that happens more often than not. And then the third goal here is to just comply with industry regulations, understand what those regulations are, and then understand how you're going to put that in practice. So cybersecurity essentials. So cybersecurity, if we just go back, 10,000 foot view, the practice of protecting digital systems, networks, and information from unauthorized access, damage, or disruption. I'm going to go over a few examples of what that means in a second. I'll finish this up though. It involves a combination of tools, processes, and best practices to safeguard the data and operations. Understanding the fundamentals of cybersecurity is crucial for the solo tax professional and small business. This is really geared towards solo and small business professionals here. So when we're talking about threats to your practice, let's think about this. As your practice sits right now, if you were to walk into your office and all the computers were gone, or locked out of each computer, or ransomware, which means all of your files are now, they all look like a text file. What that means in either case is you're kind of screwed. You're kind of in trouble, okay? And at this point is where the IRS says, okay, they got to have something written down. Not on the computer. They can't even get into their computer sometimes. You have to have this physically written down. So you would now go to your area of your WISP, remediation plan, these kind of things. In case things happen, these are the numbers to call. These are your obligations. So let's go back to the slide here. Threats to practices. So these are common threats to practices. I'll go over a few environmental threats to practices. Phishing attacks. Probably the most common thing. People are baiting you into clicking on something or even installing something, or even worse, giving them access to your system, like their remote support or something. Don't do that, first of all. If you're not paying them to access your computer already, don't let anybody access your computer. I've been a security practitioner and an IT provider for almost 30 years. And this is likely the number one thing. This is the number one thing I think. People get scammed. They click on things. For example, you get a text message saying, hey, your Netflix account's going to be closed tomorrow unless you validate this link or update your credit card or whatever. Well, you click on that link and it's likely your phone is now compromised, and everything you do on your phone could be compromised. So be very careful of those random attacks. That's a phishing attack. Ransomware threats, that's another thing. They can come from a phishing attack, but that's where all of your data is encrypted. All of it. Every photo, every file, every executable. It's encrypted, which means you can't open it. Windows will never be able to open that without the unlock key. So that's likely the worst one. Data breaches, it's another one. Everything looks to be fine, but somebody just took, all of your clients in the middle of the night. That is definitely not cool. Now, here's a few other, I'm going to go back just a little bit. Here's a few other, an environmental. What about a leak that takes down your server? I've seen water damage. I've seen smoke damage. I've seen theft. So it's not just, getting hacked. It's not having your files, not having any idea where your files are or what the condition of those files are or who has access to those files because you can't get in. All of these things are put in place. All of these things are the reason the WISP is put in place. Okay. Data protection best practices. So they also want you not only to be aware of the threats out there, but to implement some best practices. Multifactor authentication. Now, this isn't access to your computer. This is access to the files in your computer. If you're on a computer that doesn't have any taxpayer information, then these don't apply to you. Okay? But for a lot of people, they have taxpayer information on their computer. I'll give you an example. Somebody emails you a copy of a driver's license. They email you their bank statements or their payroll records. Now, just because they email you does not mean those files are sitting on your computer. Technically, they're sitting in your email. It's only the files. If you download that PDF file or that driver's license and save it on your computer, that is where these safeguards kick in. If it doesn't get saved on your computer, if it's all done through the cloud, Intuit, Tax Slayer, or one of these other programs, and it never touches your computer, then you're okay on the local safeguards. Okay? So you always have to think of worst case. Worst case, I come in and steal all your computers to try to get all the data from all the clients you have. If none of the information is on your computer, then you have nothing to worry about. If everything was stored on the cloud, then that's fine. The cloud provider has the security burden to deal with. Now, there are certain things that you should do in an office. So let's just go over those. Multi-factor authentication. Everybody should know this by now. It's getting a little bit more prevalent where you have to, you log in and then they send a code either to your phone or to an email address. It's just another factor, another authentication factor. That's what multi-factor authentication is. Now, for example, Intuit QuickBooks. Let's just say you use QuickBooks. When you log into QuickBooks, is there another factor? Do they send something to your phone and then you can get in? Okay, that's what we call multi-factor. Endpoint protection. That means a protection on the endpoint. That's basically an antivirus. There's a little bit more stronger ones out there. EDR, which is endpoint detection and response. But basically that means some kind of endpoint protection, which is typically an antivirus. VPN, that's more of a network protection. Still very useful. But in this case, endpoint protection means antivirus protection. Secure data storage. Where are you storing that taxpayer information? All of these things apply to taxpayer information, personal identifiable information. Store all client data in encrypted format. So if you're going to save everything to a USB or a third-party hard drive, make sure that's encrypted. There's some encryption software that you can buy for that. If it's sitting on your hard drive, okay, let's use that scenario. Somebody sends you a driver's license, you save it in your computer in a client file. That's the trigger right there. That hard drive now has to be encrypted to be secure. A very common question is, okay, Mike, well, I get a password on my computer. It's an encrypted password. So that means my whole computer is encrypted. No, it does not. That just goes over the access control. Access to the data. It doesn't mean the drive is encrypted. Typically, we'll encrypt with BitLocker or another encryption tool. So here's the scenario for that. I come in, I wipe out your whole computers, I take one with me. I take it home. Your password is nothing. I can pop that pretty quick. So now that I got past your password, now I'm trying to get the goods, right? I'm trying to get those hundreds of client data, driver's license, social security numbers, payroll, addresses. I'm trying to get that stuff. If that hard drive is not encrypted, I've got free access to everything, whether you had a password or not. So that's very important. Regular backups, yep, regularly back up your information, whether you're backing it up locally or third party with the cloud. And employee training. There's hacks that occur all the time. Every couple of months, there's a big one that hits the news. The employee, we have an employee training. It's like $20 an employee. And what we do is monthly, we give them we test them, we do phishing training, tell them, hey, our company's going to have a party. Go ahead and enter your email or something like that. Whatever. We could do that together, come up with some very cool phishing tricks for your employees. But another safeguard is they want your employees to be trained throughout the year, not just, a 5-question test or a short video at the end of the year. that really doesn't suffice. They want it to be ongoing, sustained throughout the year. So we offer that for our clients as well. So understanding 450, 4557, basically, I'm just going to show you here. 4557 is basically the standard that they want everybody to look at. I'm going to do another video on 4557, and we're not going to go through the a table of contents, but we're going to cover the entire document. This is 21 pages. We're going to cover the entire document. I'm going to make another video about that. But when we reference 4557, that's what they're talking about. The purpose of the WISP, so we've already kind of, talked about that. Establish technical and physical safeguards to protect the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of client information. We call that the CIA triad. C, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Key WISP requirements here. So WISP requires tax professionals to identify sensitive data, address the risk, implement security controls, train employees, and regularly review. And, the importance of a WISP, not just to stay out of trouble, but, it's good that you're taking responsibility for your client's data. You can even turn that into a marketing thing, or not a marketing, but, express to your clients, hey, we have a WISP, it's available. Anybody that wants to see it, we take your data very, seriously, and these are the technical safeguards that we have in place for your data. So, you can maybe add that to your website, add that to your marketing material. If you're talking to new clients, new prospects, bring that up to them. Don't think it's all techie and it's all over your head. No, let them know that, hey, we have very strict standards for protecting your data. And I don't know about my competition, but here are the things that we do. And if we do your WISP, I'll gladly give you a copy that you can use for your marketing. But that does go a long way. That makes your clients, or should make your clients, feel a lot better about using your service. I'm going to breeze through this a little bit. Key elements of a WISP: so scope and applicability. What's the scope? Okay, do you have no client data on your computer? Then don't worry about it. That computer, you don't have to have these safeguards. Roles and responsibilities. So who has access to my company information, my client data in my organization? And what roles and what level of access do they have to have? Don't just give everybody admin rights to everything. Most organizations have, the admins, they can see payroll, they can see all these things. And then they have the regular employees that can see client data, but not company data, that kind of thing. So make sure that you have a good understanding of who in the company has access to what bits of data. Risk assessment. Yep, just conduct a risk assessment. Do I have very old software in my computer? We do a computer assessment. So we look at various things on that computer. And that all falls under this technical safeguards. But we develop a script that we give you for the WISP, and this interrogates the computer, and it looks for certain regulatory things. For example, how many users are on this computer? Do they have passwords? When's the last time the passwords were changed? Is this computer encrypted? And those kind of things. So there's when were the updates done? Is there antivirus? So we interrogate each computer that we do a WISP on, and we present those findings to the ownership. Those are the administrative safeguards. The physical safeguards, yep, physical safeguards, passwords on a computer. Do you have an office? Is there a lock on that door? Or could I just walk in, from the street? If you're a home office, could I just walk in from the street, walk over to your computer, move the mouse, and get right on it? I better not be. So they want you to have physical safeguards. Keep the door locked. You have data in a cabinet, lock those cabinets. You want to make sure somebody just can't enter your office or place of business and have access to any file that they want to. That's a big no-no. Incident response plan. That's the next one right here. If something does go, sorry about that. If something does go wrong, do we have a plan? What do we do? Don't just leave it to the IT guy. Okay, who do we call? What are our obligations? Do we have to report this to the IRS? Do we have to report this to the FTC? Who else do we have to report this to? And all of that stuff. So, incident response plan, they want you to have a plan for an incident. And then ongoing monitoring and review. Maybe when you get new employees, everybody should be reviewing your policies. If there's a policy change, you get a new piece of equipment, anything like that, that might affect your security or the security of the taxpayer data, that should be reviewed. Okay, introducing WISP support services. So when we do your WISP, we also offer to manage your systems, and we're basically going to help you, support you throughout the year. Make sure everything is kept up to date for you. And benefits of using our WISP service, well, we go above and beyond what the IRS requires, but just really quick here. Reduce cybersecurity risks. So the first thing you'll see in the next slide, the first thing is just an initial consultation. I want to know who I'm dealing with here. Are you wanting to get this WISP just to check the box and just to be legal? Or do you really have an interest and a care to secure your environment? Okay, I'm looking for owners to work with that have a real genuine interest in understanding the data that they're dealing with, the data that they are responsible for, and really wanting to get better and have some better practices put in place. They just don't know where to start. So you start with me, you start with us, and we'll guide you through. Improved data protection, again, number one. When we're monitoring your system, we could tell if that hard drive is going to fail. Many times they give alerts months and months and months before they crap out. So part of our service, our management service, is we monitor this hardware as well. So we make sure that data is as safe and backed up as it can be. Compliance with IRS 4557. Time saved on WISP implementation. If you've got already good safeguards in place, the WISP is going to take no time at all to do a review and to just do a refresh every year. And then client confidence and data security. I was just talking about that. I would make sure that you talk to every client about this. Hey, this is what we do. Man, we got this program. We got an IT, person. We have all of our data backed up, and we really take your data that we are responsible for. We really take that seriously, and these are the things that we do. So we'll provide that for you if you would like. But yeah, I would totally use that in marketing. Getting started. Okay, Mike, you're convinced. You're convinced us to get a WISP. This is what we basically do. There's only a few steps here. We schedule a consultation, just a Zoom meeting, 15 minutes, half hour. We talk about the practice, how many devices. We go over pricing. We go over a little bit of expectations. I'm trying to figure out, if you guys just want the certificate, or do you guys really care about securing your data? And then we're going to assess. So we have a very long survey, not very long, maybe 30 plus questions, 30 to 40 questions, that once we start the WISP, this is what we do. We go through the 30 or so questions about your environment. Do you have a Wi-Fi router? Do you have a password on that Wi-Fi? How many employees do you have? How is their access given? Do they come in remotely? If so, what tool do they use? All of those kind of questions are what we go through. And then once we have a good understanding of your environment, what states you're operating in, then we begin working on the WISP. So then we start developing your WISP. We start developing your WISP all of your controls, all the survey questions get compared to the regulatory, and we come up with where your gaps are. There's always going to be gaps. I don't think we're going to ever have a WISP where everything is perfect and nothing needs to be done. So anyway, once we do that WISP, there's two parts to that WISP. There's the WISP part of it, and then there's the PC interrogation. So there's some software that we'll have you guys run, just a PowerShell script, very detailed, but it gives us a lot of the logging levels, and they do have a password and antivirus measures, and last time your system was updated, and a lot of these security controls are extracted from that script. So that's something that I'll work with you guys to implement, or I can implement for you. It's a quick run of the script, and then we get a report. And then once we have that PC report, we combine it with the rest of the WISP, and then we present those findings to you. The WISP is basically, here are the issues and gaps that we have to fill in your environment. And then the remediation plan is either for us if we're going to do the remediation, or for your IT team. Here's a remediation list of everything that they have to do in order to be in compliance. Okay, so we give that to you at the end of that as well. Okay, so the next step, just schedule a free consultation. We have a calendar link, a Calendly link on our website. So Blue Sky-IT, the notes are going to have the video notes down below. Will have all the information. So anyway, that's the WISP in a nutshell. I'm going to do some more videos on the WISP and a few other safeguards, but what I would like your takeaway to be is, don't think of this as just taxpayer information. Okay, well, I don't do taxes, so I don't need a WISP. You should have these safeguards in place anyway, whether or not you're going to get audited, whether or not you're obligated to have these. These are very good basic cybersecurity practices. So anyway, that's all I have for today. For Blue Learning, my name is Mike, and you have a great day.